Joe. I've got 7 o'clock. So
What,
if you want
what's
to get
wrong?
going, but we got some bad background noise. You need to tell everybody to mute their phones until they speak.
Okay. I think we're ready to go, Andy.
All right, very good, Joe. This is our first January meeting. I think we're all set. And Mr. Edwards, it'd be your meeting, sir.
Is invocation going to be given first before we start the meeting? Is Rob Grantrog online here?
Yes, I'm on.
Pastor, would you give us, before the mayor actually opens the meeting, would you give us an invocation?
Absolutely. Thank you. Father, we love you. We bless you tonight. We thank you in this new year for new opportunities to trust you and watch you at work. And Lord, I pray tonight that the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts will be pleasing to you. And Lord, if any are not in that place yet, that you would help them to get to that place, and please hold them there as well. Lord, you do all things well, and I give you great thanks and praise for all the favor and the great things you're doing here in Westfield, Indiana. We look forward to what you're going to do more as we press on further ahead into this new year. I bless you and worship you tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank
Okay.
you, Pastor.
All right. Mayor, will you throw the meeting to me, or can I just take it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You just take it, Joe.
All
Go
right.
right ahead.
All right. Well, we have our first virtual meeting of 2021. I don't like these things very well, but we have to do as we have to do. So, Cindy Gossard, would you note the presence of a quorum?
Mike John. Here.
Scott Fry. Scott Fry.
Here.
Troy Patton.
Here.
Cindy Spalcheric.
Here.
Joe Edwards.
Here.
Jake Gilbert.
Here.
Scott Willis.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay. There are no changes to the agenda that I've been notified about. So the agenda will be as presented. The first item of business that we have to do is the election of a council president. I'm going to place in nomination the name of Mike Johns for president. Is there a second to that nomination?
This is Scott Fry. I second that.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for president of the council? Hearing none, will the council consent to take Mike John's election by acclamation? If so, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Mr. President Johns, you now have the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Well, first, I'd like to thank all of my fellow councilmen, and we're going to do the best job we can for the next year. So, as my first act, I would like to ask Councilman Edwards if he would to stay on as my vice president. I would appreciate, and I could certainly use the continuity in the office. So, Joe, will you?
I accept.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. Moving forwards, then I guess the next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. So the meeting minutes from 12/28/20. Does anyone have any additions or changes to the minutes of 12/28/20? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Scott Willis, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Jake Gilbert, second.
Great. All right, Scott made the motion. Jake Gilbert seconded. So the motion has been made and seconded. We're just gonna have a voice vote on this. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Hearing none, we're gonna approve the minutes as written. The next item on the agenda is our claims docket for January 11th, 2021.
Hey,
Is
Mike.
anyone-
Hey,
Yes,
Mike.
sir.
Hey, this is Troy Patton. Hey, somebody, I can see it flashing. Somebody's got a bunch of feedback on their line. If you
Yeah,
please mute your line. I can see it in the bottom right, but I don't.
that's better. I'm
Thank you.
not sure who that was, but that's better. Thank you. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the claims docket for January 11, 2021. Does anyone have a question about or of any items on the claims docket? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims docket for January 11th, 2021.
This is Joe Edwards, so moved.
Joe moved it. Do I have a second?
This is Scott Willis. I'll second.
Seconded by Scott Willis. I'll make a call again for a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the claims docket is approved as written. We've got no miscellaneous business or special recognitions for this evening, so we'll move right into the old business category. Under old business, the first item is Resolution 20-137, establishing a Hometown Heroes program. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2137?
Hey, Mike.
Would
This is
you like to
Scott
introduce
Willis.
it first?
I was gonna entertain a motion first and then questions afterwards, if that works.
Excellent.
So do I
Make
have a
motion.
motion to approve?
I'll make them. Just
Jake
Scott Willis.
Gilbert.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, I think that was Scott Willis who made the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Sure, this is Jake. I'll second.
Jake seconded, okay. So we have a motion. It's been made and seconded. At this point, I'll open the floor to discussion, counselors.
Sure, this is Scott Fry. And I really don't have anything that I didn't say, not much anyway, that I didn't say it the first time that this was introduced. Scott, I commend you on seeing an opportunity there that needs some support and trying to provide that support. I commend you on that. Your heart's definitely in the right place. I agree. You know, we absolutely should be looking out for our first responders and basically those that put their life on the line for us. But I think that's where our agreement ends. I want to I want to make sure that we have the smallest government possible, and this is the type of thing that absolutely can be done through public outreach, through local churches, community outreach, and things like that. I'm sure you've got the votes. I'm sure this is probably going to pass. I would encourage you, anybody that's thinking about voting yes on this, Scott, I'd ask you to make sure that you put, you change the verbiage in here. Services to be offered would include basic lawn care, snow removal at no cost. Would include does not mean it's limited to. So I've got several questions there. If it would include basic lawn care and snow removal, what else would it include? And who makes those determinations? So these are things that I frankly feel are, you know, great causes, but a terribly slippery slope to spend taxpayer dollars. I think we're here to have a small government, the smallest government that we can, and I think this is contrary to that concept. And to further my stance and my opinion on this, I invested about 25 minutes last week, very short amount of time, made 3 phone calls to 3 local churches, of which we certainly have a dozen or more. And all 3 churches were eager to find out more and said that it seemed like exactly the type of thing they'd be willing to do. One of the 3 churches was excited about the opportunity to partner with this and make this a church outreach, a community outreach, and not a government entity. So just some food for thought.
Thank you, Scott. Do I have any other comments?
This is Cindy. I do. I've talked with Scott now a few times about this. It, as an idea, I think it's fantastic. And the biggest philosophical problem for me is that we're providing a service, and potentially the way it's written in section 2 is the problem, the first sentence of section 2, that we are providing a service, though, for a subset of people, no matter how deserving, because they are. We're offering this to people in our community and at the exclusion of others. Obviously, we can't include everybody, and nor would we want to. To make a long story short, though, there was the idea that this would be provided pro bono by contractors with the city. So it wouldn't be city services, city staff, it wouldn't be city vehicles, but it would be contractors on their dime doing that. And that was the latest understanding I had from Scott, was that Scott Willis, sorry, should clarify. And when I read the resolution, that is not what the resolution says. So the problem is that there's nothing here specifying that it's not the city itself paying for this. And that's my biggest problem with this right now. And we probably need a legal assessment.
If I may add to that, Cindy, again, Scott Fry, if this is being done at no additional charge to the city through our current contracts and future contracts, and I know that was a correspondence that Scott Willis had sent, that it would be part of future contracts moving forward. Again, I know your heart's in the right place, and the thought is great, but it doesn't matter who we're working with. When we tell someone that this needs to be included as part of their bid response, their bid price will go up. Now, it may not go up much, and if nobody's using it, that emphasizes the fact that this is more of a feel-good thing. But if a lot of people are using it, the price or the cost of their bid will go up. It will. That's how that kind of thing works. So to say that it's not costing the city anything, and that our people that are doing the job for us, and it'll be mandated as part of a bid moving forward, I think that's kind of short-sighted on our part to expect it not to actually have a cost to the city. Again, it may not be a substantial cost, but it's not the type of thing that should be any cost to the city, especially when we've got church groups, volunteer groups, and community organizations that would love to do this type of thing for free.
Any other concerns before I address what was thrown out there?
Scott, I don't have those concerns at all. Well, I don't. That's not saying it correctly. I do have those concerns, but I think sometimes you have to kick a program like this into gear to see how it's going to work, and then modify it, tinker with it a little till you get it in the right way. As I understand it, it is for first responders and military veterans who maybe are on active duty or who are disabled or something that would need a service to help them. If we find that this is a big budgetary item, then I think we'd have to rethink it just a little. But it may not be that big of an item, especially if we can get churches and volunteer groups working on it. That's just my thinking. I'd like to be positive about this and make it work so that it works kind of as we thought it should. That's just my thoughts. I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate those comments, Joe, and I would concur in a couple of those. First off, I concur with Cindy that the language doesn't do what I hope that it would do, but I'm not sure legally there's anything else we can do with this. So, the spirit of the program, and I've talked to Jeremy and he's reached out to our vendors. They are excited and all on board to support this program, and they will absorb 100% of the cost. What I can't promise you is, 3-4 years from now, a new vendor comes in and doesn't see the worthiness of the program and not willing to do it. And I don't believe, and the attorney could correct me on this, I don't believe there's any language we can put in there to mandate that they do it at no cost to them. If there is, it's easy. It's an easy fix. We put it in there, but I'd be surprised if we can do that. So I guess my recommendation would be, and I agree with Joe, this is a program that would, I think, be a game changer. I know it would have been for me when I deployed. It's a game changer to those. And when we use the word veterans, we're not meaning somebody who served and is no longer in the military. We're talking active members of the armed forces that get a presidential recall or an orders from the Department of Defense that takes them out of the state of Indiana. And it would only apply to the immediate family members of those. And how do we know that? Part of the program would be where they'd have to submit their orders, and in the orders, it tells you exactly who their dependents are in the orders written. So we would know right away whether they're valid or not. It doesn't include just a general veteran who needs lawn services. And it would only include those city public service personnel who live in the city of Westfield and who are injured in the line of duty. So it's people who could very much benefit from this. I am excited that there are churches who want to get involved. And Scott, I appreciate you making those calls. And I agree. I think where there's a will, there's a way. And I bet we could find, as this program evolves, ways to get more and more of the public involved in this. Because I think there are many people out there who'd be willing to show up on a heavy snow day and shovel a driveway. But I think keeping the program running and managing the program and the logistics that come with it, I think the city would be an excellent facilitator and the most qualified to do that. This program doesn't exclude us from going out and finding ways to get more of the private sector involved. So I guess what I would offer up in language to try to meet in the middle for those of you that are concerned is we could write some language in there that basically states that if at any time our vendors do not want to support the program, that that the program has to come back to city council for action. And my hope is during that time period that we can involve, we can get these churches, Scott, that you say are interested. Let's facilitate it. Let's find ways to get them connected, and this program can evolve over time. But it takes that first step. And again, as I mentioned, Scott, in my first meeting, if this was something the churches really wanted to do, Jiminy Christmas, 2004, 2005, we were knee deep in a war, and I didn't see anybody raising their hand. So I do feel like this is the best starting point to get this off the ground. But where it goes from there, I am excited and interested to hear how the private sector can get more involved. So if that makes a difference, I'm more than happy to have that language changed to very specifically state that. Now, in terms to address your limited to landscape and snow removal, I think the language speaks for itself. But if the attorneys disagree that it is too open-ended, I mean, they wrote it, but if they think it needs to be tightened down to ensure no other services are snuck in there, I'm certainly willing to get that changed as well.
Please understand the way you phrase that, Scott. You make it sound like I don't want to provide services. I want to provide services, and as I said before, the services that this community will provide, those in need, far exceeds what any program that you're going to run through the government will provide. We will overwhelm people with kindness and willingness to support them and help them. I'm absolutely confident of that. So again, I just don't think that putting another government program in place is the way to do that. And we talked before about maybe having a link to different community organizations that want to help, having a link on our city website so that those folks can do it. Maybe that's the way we get this started, instead of just jumping in with both feet and saying, guess what, we've got a new government program that taxpayers are potentially on the hook for. So we just look at things differently, Scott. That's all. And again, the thought of this and the theory of this, I support 1,000%. It's just the fact of having government do it, I don't support that.
Scott,
Go ahead.
Scott Willis, this is Andy Cook. May I?
Please, man.
I think it's a good debate, and I will tell you that I do not believe this is a debate about the size of government, but rather what government should be enticing. I think we went through this with our youth assistance program. not dissimilar. We found a need and brought it forward. Yes, churches are participating in it, but the private sector has stepped up and funds a great deal of that program. It's wonderful. And I think that is exactly what government should do, because churches could be excited about it. I understand that. But they have to have something, a spark to get them going. And I think that's exactly what this program could very well do. When I'm out there selling the city of Westfield, it isn't just selling, we've got trails and we've got this and we've got that. People want to know what the heart of Westfield is. And one of the things that has really, really helped us sell this city is Westfield has a big heart. It has youth assistance and it has student impact. And this is just another program that, with a little bit of government push behind it, can help us sell this city that puts us far beyond a lot of our competition.
Thank you,
This,
Mr. Cook.
this is Joe Edwards again. Is this limited to reserve and active duty people who have been called to duty some, away, and it's not just any veteran that might have a need? It's limited to active duty or reserve people who are called active duty?
That's true. That's correct, Joe. And not only active duty, but they have to leave the state of Indiana.
Okay. I would think we'd have limited, but
we don't have a lot. I would say there's probably, I talked, as I mentioned last meeting, I talked to the fire chief and the police chief about how many of their officers and firefighters would fall under this program in the past. And I think there was one on the fire department where there was actually in the line of duty disability from a firefighter who lived in the city of Westfield. I can tell you on the reserves and National Guard side of the house, there'll be 3 or 4 people in a given year, calendar year, that will probably take advantage of this program. I know we have 2 firefighters who have just received orders to active duty. They will be gone a year, or 6 months or a year, and they're very excited about the program because they can certainly use it. They live in the city of Westfield. So again, even if we could not find a landscape company that would support this, it wouldn't be a cost of much to the city. But in saying that, to try to get the support from this council, I know there's a few people who that are maybe open to this, but only if it doesn't cost the city money. Because of equality or whatever personal reason you may have, it's not important. But I'm willing to change that language to take the cost piece out of it, knowing that if that support disappears, it comes back to us, and hopefully by then churches and other organizations are supportive and they want to get involved, and it won't matter at that point. But again, I want to see this pass. I think it's important. I agree with the mayor. I think it says a lot about who we are as a community. I mean, I'd be disappointed if we couldn't find a way to get this through. But I certainly don't judge Scott or anybody else that doesn't support it. Everybody's got to go with what they feel is the right decision, and so be it. So,
Mr. President, this is Manny Hertzeg. There were a couple of legal issues raised. If you could indulge me, I'd be happy to answer a couple of them.
That'd be great, Manny.
Sure. And I forget who said what, so I apologize in advance, but there are 4 basic issues I think that were raised. One, can you put a requirement in the bid docs for contractors to be able to provide these services? The short answer is probably, but as the resolution reads, this is kind of the jumping off point. And as it states in section 2, it's going to be kicked to the Board of Works to arrange and organize the policies to carry it out. And so you can further narrow the scope and the obligations that way. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, again, the point of the one-page application that was attached to this, that was appended to this, is to protect the integrity of the program. We don't want people. I don't believe Councilman Willis wants people to apply if they're not eligible, and it also has protections in there about indemnification liability issues that may arise. So those issues are addressed there. Third, I believe Councilman Spoljarik and I'm of Croatian descent. I think that name might be, it sounds familiar to me, so I hope to get to meet you soon. The issue of providing benefits to a limited number of people, I can't, and I won't comment on the policy perspectives, but legally, that's okay. We only get into trouble potentially if we take away benefits or if we treat people, classes of people differently, depending on kind of more broad stroke issues. And then finally, while certainly I think everybody hopes that local churches and everybody gets involved, if this program moves forward, and I would be reticent to recommend that folks support directly one denominational church over another. The ACLU, unfortunately, in Indiana has sued communities in federal court for a lot less. So those are kind of my brief comments, and hopefully I think I've jotted down all the issues that were raised. Be happy to answer any questions.
So Manny, I guess what I would ask, this is Scott Willis, is there a way to put language in there to, when we go through the bidding process on our services, to have this program attached to it and support it? Or is that, asking for a free service that we can't do?
Yeah, Councilman, so fair question. You can probably do that. I wouldn't necessarily put it in the resolution. I would deal with that more in the policies and procedures with the Board of Works. Again, this is a jumping off point, and you can further refine it and make determinations at that point, depending on what's appropriate. So, for example, it wouldn't be appropriate for a vendor that has nothing to do with these type of services to require that in a bid. I wouldn't recommend that, certainly. But it is an option for those that often that do provide the service anyway. But those are better refined in those policies and in those specific procedures.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So Cindy, I guess I'll bounce this back to you. How do you feel about that? And what are your thoughts, I guess?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, what I have before me is Resolution 2137, and there's no amendment to speak to this item we're talking about in terms of the, for lack of better words right now, pro bono work for these contractors to do. And so it still just basically puts the onus of the entire program. Whether or not the Board of Works decides they want to fund it or not is still a question then in this resolution, how it's worded. And so until we have some kind of amendment on Section 2 to reflect that, I don't know how I could support it.
This is Mike Johns. We've had quite an active and vigorous debate here. I'd say if there are no additional comments, we have a motion, I believe, that's been made and seconded to approve this. And I guess I'd like to call the vote if there's no objection.
Well, I might have an objection, Mike, because I simply want to know, probably from the attorney, if there's a way to amend this to change the wording of Section 2 to address my concern.
Okay, Manny?
Sure, Madam Councilwoman, this is Manny Herzog. The short answer is yes. You can do it by a voice vote for your amendment while the current vote on the resolution is pending. That'd be the one way to address it. If you have a specific kind of interlineal amendment you'd like to make. Otherwise, you have a couple of other options that President Johns can address on taking the motion under advisement, or if Mr. Willis, Councilman Willis, wanted to address your concerns and raise it at the next meeting. Those are all the available options.
And I wish I had the actual language that I could insert there to make it something that was palpable for me right now. But again, I don't know what is going to wind up being okay legally, and that it satisfies everything in terms of who's paying for this. So,
And I would add, Madam Councilwoman, that again, as I mentioned earlier, in my view, this resolution is a jumping off point. So if there were specific policies or procedures that deal with your specific concerns, those could certainly be refined during kind of the next step in the process too. That's another option I neglected to raise. Apologies.
but aren't we potentially with this resolution handing the entirety of that over to the Board of Works?
Apologies, Madam Councilwoman. There's some feedback on another line. I can't quite.
Yeah, this is Andy. Somebody has some feedback coming in that needs to mute if you're not speaking, please.
I think what I heard, Madam Councilwoman, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is would those policies and procedures be solely, if this resolution were approved, would those procedures be put in the Board of Works hands? The short answer is yes, but you could change or suggest that the approval is contingent on including a policy or procedure that addresses that concern. You could propose an amendment.
Well, I appreciate that. And again, I don't know how to specify the language on that on the fly. I hate doing this stuff on the fly, but anyone else have anything?
Cindy, this is Ann Poindexter. One quick fix that may help you is to suggest that the policies and procedures adopted by the Board of Public Works with regard to this resolution must be approved by the council.
With respect, Ms. Poindexter,
I like that,
apologies. With respect, that's not proper, because ultimately the Board of Public Works makes its own decisions that aren't subject to the council approval. That would have to go through the city attorney anyway.
You can change the motion to say that you, the council, approve and develop the policies and procedures. Cindy?
Again, I may interject, Ms. Poindexter. If she can request an amendment, it was not her resolution to raise, so she cannot change it on her own.
And I understand that she can't do it on her own, but we're talking about an amendment to the resolution. And so that is language which could address her concern.
Certainly, she can raise an amendment. We've spoken about that earlier. Absolutely.
Right.
So if we're all on the same sheet of music here, we could add in the language, say under section 3 to say, the resolution shall be in full force and effect once policies and procedures developed by the Department of Public Works in conjunction with the City Council is approved. Or something along those lines.
Councilman Willis, this is Manny Herzig again. Again, it would, the cleanest way and the proper way to do would be to address a general concern that Councilman Spiljeruk has raised, and you don't need specific term necessarily, to make that suggestion, to make the approval of this resolution subject to that concern being addressed by the Board of Public Works. That'd be the way I'd slightly clean it up.
And
Thus leaving it as essentially in the Board of Public Works, as long as the one-time approval through Cindy.
This is Troy Patton. I know we're going back and forth on this, and not to be a damper on the thing as I can be, but this is exactly why Scott Fry's comment is so unveiling. It's the government getting involved in something that the community can do and just implement and have at it and serve the rest of the community, as opposed to trying to figure all this out. I mean, just my 2 cents worth.
Scott, what's your intention? We do have the motion on the floor. It's been seconded. What are your thoughts?
I'm ready for a vote, but I would like to address Cindy's concerns. So if Cindy can throw at me some language to be amended to vote on, I'd be certainly in support of that. If she's not prepared to do that, then I say we just vote as is.
Cindy?
At this point, I don't know the appropriate language. I'm still confused about what is okay. We don't control the Board of Works or their policies directly. If you guys want to go ahead with this vote, I might well have to abstain, as I don't understand exactly how it's going to move forward at this point, but feel free to go ahead.
All right then, Scott, Cindy, I'm going to ask that Cindy Gossard call the vote.
Troy Patton,
No.
Scott Fry,
No.
Mike Johns,
No.
Cindy Spalgeric,
Abstain.
Joe Edwards,
Yes.
Jake Gilbert,
Yes.
Scott Willis.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Motion failed, I believe.
Not Madam Clerk, this is Manny Herzog. On a tie vote, the mayor is the deciding vote.
Mayor?
The mayor votes yes.
Okay, motion carries 4-3.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is ordinance 20-39, Courtyards of Westfield PUD. This ordinance had a council introduction on September 14th, 2020, went to the APC on October 5th for a public hearing. The APC came back with a recommendation December 7th of 9-0 in approval. And I think we've got, I don't know, do we have Matt Skelton here to talk about it tonight at all? Or are we just going to vote?
I am here. Pam, did you need to do an introduction, or would you like me to do that?
You're more than welcome to take it. Thank you.
All right, I can do that. Thank you, members of the council and Mr. Mayor, Matt Skelton, for the record, with Church Hidden Antrim, with offices at 116 North Union Street here in Westfield. With me this evening on the call is Jason Coffey, Vice President of Land Development with Epcon Communities, Linda Maneri with EMH&T, and Brett Huff, our project engineer with Kimley Horn. And just I'll give just enough to try to give you a little refresher on what the project that we're talking about, and I'll just highlight the things that are different from when you've seen the project before. And if more detail is needed, just let me know, and I'm happy to spend as much time as you like, but I know you've got a full agenda. This is a project that's being shown on the screen, southwest corner of 151st and Town Road. This is, as you'll recall, an empty nester active adult project, functionally maintained in this similar way that condominium communities are. The things that you'll notice that may be a little bit different, the concept plan was massaged a little bit in order to accommodate some hydrological challenges we discovered as we went through the project with the site. And also the neighbors had made some requests regarding buffering that they would like to see, and it took some doing, but we were able to work with them to accommodate their requests. And it resulted in having some fewer lots on this concept plan than what you may have seen before. But we were able to accommodate the neighbors, and then we were able to incorporate some restrictions on the way the rear yards will be used adjacent to those neighbors to the south and west. As your staff report indicates, we did receive a unanimous favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission, and I think the project was received pretty well. EPCON is excited to begin work on this new neighborhood this year and respectfully request City Council approval this evening. And we're happy to respond to any questions or cover any other details you'd like me to cover.
Does anyone have any comments? Okay, then I guess we'll get ready to move toward the vote. I can only tell you that as a member of the APC, I think this is an excellent project in the right location and provides a new and different type of housing offering and alternative for residents of Westfield and for potentially new residents of Westfield. So at this point then, if we don't have any other comments, I'd like to motion to move forward for a motion of approval for ordinance 20-39. Do I have a second?
Second, Troy Patton.
Troy, okay, Troy seconded. Cindy, will you call the roll, please?
Scott Fry,
Yes.
Troy Patton,
Yes.
Mike Johns,
Yes.
Scott Willis,
Yes.
Cindy Spalgeric,
Yes.
Joe Edwards,
Yes.
Jake Gilbert.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Matt.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
folks. Appreciate it.
We're going to move forward now to new business. And we actually have 5 introductions tonight. There'll be introductions only of new projects within Westfield. The first one will be ordinance 21-01, the Sanders Glen PUD. And I'm not sure if it's going to be staff or Patrick Chittenden introducing.
This is Andrew Greenwood on behalf of Patch Development, and I'd be happy to introduce. Good evening, and council and Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your time this evening. Again, Andrew Greenwood and Pat Chittenden from Patch Development, located at 400 Alpha Drive in Westfield here. We're here tonight introducing the Sanders Glen PUD. The subject site is approximately 9.5 acres. It's located at 2432 South Street. So we are south of the Midland Trail, east of the phase 1 of the cottages at Sanders Glen and the Sanders Glen Healthcare Facility, and north of South Street and west of the City Services building. If you scroll through, I'm not sure who's working the monitor here, but there is our site there. This was formally approved as the Colorama PUD over 10 years ago. That plan never did work its way through, and so we are here tonight introducing a revised PUD for this property. If you'll scroll maybe 2 more slides, or this is the zoning map as it exists currently. There's PUDs that surround us in Sanders Glen. The next map shows the existing uses. So to our east, there's a commercial and agricultural use. To our west is also commercial, and then single family residential, and then the nursing home and hospital use as well. The next pictures that you'll see as we scroll through this are our neighbors. So as you look to the Pheasant Run subdivision to the west, there are some pictures from what our property line where our property line is, single family residential lots. The next slide will show you the property to the east, which is currently is the Newbie property. There's a trucking and logistics company that's located adjacent to that large cell tower there that you see. And the majority of that ground is in wetland and floodway area and unusable. The next slide is showing the Sanders Glen Healthcare Facility to kind of the northwest. You can see there on the map, the Midland Trail there actually goes south of the Sanders Glen facility and then works its way back up to our northern property line to then go east as well. The next slide will show you the property that is adjacent to kind of our southwest property line there, and it's a commercial building with commercial uses as well. We are proposing to split the site. On the next slide, you'll see into 3 distinct areas, which is why we're here for planned unit development. We have an area 1, area 2, and area 3. Each area 1, as the slide goes, is 26 single-family dwelling units. Area 2 is 50 senior-focused dwelling units or apartments, and then area 3 is 14 single-family dwelling units. If you scroll through the next slide after that one, it will show you some of the character exhibits and what we're proposing in area 1. These would be single-family for-sale units. The exteriors would be hardy plank or hardy board siding, cement fiber siding, and stone or brick wainscot. The next slide would be the area. What would be the area 2? These are the senior-focused dwelling units or apartments that are the same and identical to what's being built just west of Sanders Glen right now. These are for-rent units that are targeted at seniors. There's amenities that go with living there that allow them to utilize the facilities over at Sanders Glen and also be a part of the activities and things that go on there. And we're excited for this second phase. And then lastly, the last set of single-family for-sale units are a little bit wider lots and also the same exterior and architectural commitments would be made on those as well. We have already had our open house last week. We felt like we had a good session with questions, comments, and support from the neighbors. We're scheduled for a February 1st Plan Commission public hearing, and we'd be happy to entertain any questions from the council. And thank you for your time.
Does council have any questions at this time?
This is Scott Willis. I'm sure this will be fleshed out, but it's because this is my district. I just have a quick question. So, Andrew, for that area 2 with the Sanders Glen piece, that is tying into the assisted living management company, or can you explain that again?
Yeah, we have an arrangement whereby our residents are able to utilize services and be a part of the activities that happen there, along with that management company that runs the current Sanders Glen facility.
So will they also be managing this, or will it be a separate management company, or?
They'll be working with us to manage it.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Andrew, yeah, it's Mike Johns. I had, when I met with Pat Crittenden on this, Chittenden, I do have a little bit of concerns about the density, specifically in area 1, but I think that'll get flushed out at the APC. So I look forward to seeing the project moving forward.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Cindy Spoljaric, if I might. My initial concerns with this project are primarily that it doesn't really fit in with the character of this area. I realize that you're kind of bounded, by commercial uses on either side, but primarily this is a single-family detached area, if you will. And also we have concerns with traffic on 171st right now. This is adding quite a bit of traffic, it seems. So I have issues with the way this is put out. It doesn't really have any usable open space. And that's a concern for me. It's just really packed in. And again, inconsistent with a lot of the surrounding area. So look forward to more conversation.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, moving forward, The next item will be ordinance 2102, the Lancaster Phase 2 PUD. I think, is it John? Are you going to be handling that?
Yes, sir. I'll wait for the concept plan exhibits to be pulled up, but as those are pulled up, if you could show that and advance to the second page, please. And council members, good evening. For the record, my name is John Dobashewitz. I'm a land use professional with the law firm of Nelson and Frankenberger. We represent the petitioner in this case, William Trace Development, LLC. Present tonight on behalf of the petitioner is Jesse Pullman of William Trace and Jim Shinover, an attorney with our office. As noted, the matter before you this evening is the introduction of the Lancaster Phase 2 PUD. The real estate, the subject real estate, is outlined yellow on the aerial image on the right-hand side of the screen on display now. The real estate consists of approximately 36.2 acres and is located at the northeast corner of 186th Street and Casey Road. As shown, uses surrounding the subject parcel include the Shelton Cove Residential Community and Northview Church to the south, the William Trace and Waters Edge neighborhoods to the southwest. To the east is the Lancaster Residential Community, which is that area highlighted on the aerial. And to the north is Emery Trace Residential Community, north of this site on the east side of Casey Road. To the west, across Casey Road, are properties and agricultural use. The applicant has filed a text amendment application to rezone the infill parcel from the Spring Mill Trails PUD district to the Lancaster Phase 2 PUD district in order to develop a residential community that will essentially serve as the continuation and extension of the Lancaster residential community, which, as noted, is immediately adjacent to the east. The Lancaster PUD district was adopted in 2019, and the current zoning of the infill site is the Spring Mill Trails PUD ordinance, which was adopted in 2011, but never advanced through with development. If you could go back to the first page, please. The Lancaster Phase 2 development, as an extension and continuation of the existing Lancaster residential community, will include paired villa homes with anticipated sale prices from the mid-200s. This home product will continue to offer additional low-maintenance housing options for both first-time buyers as well as those desiring to downsize to an empty nester type of home. The concept plan, which is the illustration included on the left-hand side of your screen, and character exhibits depicting the conceptual home architecture are included here, and included as well as exhibits in the PUD ordinance. In addition, large natural open space, including trails, shall be provided for passive recreation opportunities in addition to active amenities. With respect to active amenities, those are provided within the Lancaster amenities, which were designated and scaled to serve development on this real estate as a requirement of the prior Lancaster PUD approval. In this regard, the real estate shall be subject to the covenants and restrictions applicable to Lancaster, so all residents share in the common maintenance of those amenities. In conclusion, this matter is scheduled for a public hearing in front of the Planning Commission on February 1st. Additionally, we've scheduled a neighborhood meeting to occur on January 21st, which will be conducted virtually. I will forward to the council members as well as staff a email later this week with a link to that meeting, again on January 21st. We appreciate your time tonight and respectfully would request that the council forward this matter to the Plan Commission for consideration again on February 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John. The next introduction will be ordinance 2103, the Maple Knoll PUD Amendment 5. And John, I think this is yours also.
Yes, sir. Again, for the record, John Dobashewitz with Nelson and Frankenberger. We represent the petitioner in this request, Panda Restaurant Group, and the owner, Meyer Stores LP. This is the only slide that we'll need for use in this presentation. Thank you. Present tonight on behalf of the petitioner is Valentino Mancini of Knorr Architecture and Planning, as well as Jim Schreiner, an attorney with our office. As noted, the matter before the council this evening is the introduction of an amendment to the Maple Knoll PUD. Specifically, the amendment pertains to signage provisions of the Maple Knoll PUD as they apply to the outlots within the Westfield Meyer development. The subject real estate is outlined in yellow. These are the outlot areas both along State Road 32 and Spring Mill Road within the Meyer Westfield development. The subject parcels are Block A and Block B of this subdivision. And by way of general background, the Maple Knoll PUD was approved in 2004, some 16 years ago, and then amended in 2019 to address standards applicable to the Meyer and the Fuel Center, which, while not shown on the most recent aerial shown here, are nearing completion on the adjacent parcels. Again, this proposed amendment pertains only to the outlet areas as outlined in yellow, and no other property or signage which was part of the Meyer Westfield development or the Maple Knoll PUD is impacted. Regarding wall signs, the amendment would regulate wall signs under the standards of Article 6.17 pertaining to permitted outlot signs of the UDO. This amendment will regulate wall signs on the subject outlots in a manner consistent with outlot parcels all along State Road 32 in the vicinity of the real estate and consistent with the wall sign standards of the UDO. Second, regarding drive-through menu boards, shall be permitted per the standards of the UDO. This amendment specifies that signage for drive-through menu boards, if amended in the future, would apply to this real estate. And while this amendment is not necessary, including it requires all future drive-through type signs of the outlots to be complied with the UDO rather than the Maple Knoll PUD in the event that those are amended or adopted in the future by the city of Westfield. And finally, regarding approved ground signs, the outlot users will be permitted signage on the freestanding development signs identified under the prior ordinance from 2019. In this regard, there was an amendment that included a typographical error that staff identified that they would like us to address as part of this ordinance. This does not add any additional signs or ground signs. It only clears up a typographical error that staff would like to see addressed at this time. In conclusion, like the prior matter, this matter is scheduled for a public hearing in front of the Planning Commission on February 1st. And again, we will have a neighborhood meeting for this. It'll be conducted virtually, and we will send council and staff a link to that. It will also occur on January 21st. Again, we appreciate your time tonight. Look forward to presenting in front of the Planning Commission on February 1st. Thank you.
Thank you, John. The next ordinance up for introduction tonight is ordinance 2104. It's the Lantern Commons PUD. And just to remind everybody, Lantern Commons is located on the northeast corner of Route 31 and 161st Street. It's immediately north of the new SCP project. So, and there it is on the screen. So I'm going to turn this over, I think Matt Skelton will be doing the presentation.
Yes, I'm here. I thank you very much, Mr. President and members of the council, Mr. Mayor. For your record again, Matt Skelton with Church Hidland Antrim with offices at 116 North Union Street in Westfield. With me this evening on the call is Martin Eng and John Elliott with Front Street Partners, LLC. They operate out of the Nashville, Tennessee area. And Gary Perrell is on the call as well with ALO Property Group here in Indianapolis. The property is approximately 60 acres in size. It is somewhat unique. It fronts on Highway 31, 161st Street, and also South Union Street. The roundabout that is scheduled to be constructed, I believe it's in the fall of this year, at 161st and Westfield Boulevard. That's already programmed and funded, and if that is not correct, someone will correct me, I'm sure. This plan, if we can show the concept plan, accommodates the extension of Westfield Boulevard. Just to orient yourself, left is north, so east, right is south. But this plan contemplates the extension of Westfield Boulevard through the site as contemplated in the city's thoroughfare plan. We've worked closely with the city staff to make sure that what we've designed complies with that plan. And then this would eventually connect to I think most of you are familiar with Westfield Boulevard that has been extended from 32 down to 169th Street today, recently completed. Ultimately, this road, once extended farther north, up behind the Tom Roush use, would intersect with 169th Street at the same location where the Westfield Boulevard extension stops today. If anybody has any questions about that, let me know. So I'll give you just a little bit of history. I don't want to belabor this, but there's a lot of history associated with this site. The Louth Development Group obtained a zoning approval for this site back in 2001. With that zoning approval, there were a series of commitments that were attached to that zoning approval. This was in a time that kind of predated the use of conventional PUD ordinances as the city uses today. Pine Tree Commercial, that project never happened. In 2007, Pine Tree Commercial Realty Group zoned the property and I guess rezoned the property and revised the commitments that were attached to the property. And received approval in December of 2007. Do you have the concept plan from? Yes. This was the concept plan that was attached to that zoning. And this is kind of an interesting reference point, but this was actually contemplated as somewhat of an outdoor mall. The zoning that is in place today, still in place today, accommodated the development of 2 big box stores up to 150,000 square feet in size. And just to give you some frame of reference, I think the Target store at 151st and 31 is about 120,000 square feet, if memory serves. It also accommodates some junior anchor spots in the larger inline stores, 6 smaller retail inline buildings throughout the project, and also 4 or 5 commercial outlots. And so it's pretty intensive zoning. And like I said, that this plan was pulled right out of it was attached to their commitments. The recession hit. Of course, everybody remembers that, but this project never happened. And while during that time, after that time, I mean, the market has changed and things have changed and Westfield has changed and evolved. Buckingham companies actually filed a zoning petition for this project back in 2014. And they were going to try to continue the commercial use, not dissimilar from what is shown on the southern portion of this site, and then use the northern portion of the site north of the creek that's shown on this exhibit as a more multifamily use. And so if we could go back to the other concept plan, please, the current one. This is the current proposal of Front Street Partners. And this is designed to be divided into 5 sub areas. And the reason for those different sub areas being identified is really to accommodate a transition, if you will, of uses and intensities. The idea being that the more higher profile, more intense uses would be located closer to the interchange and 161st Street, and then transition into the world around this site. And so this would provide, we've been asked by a couple of folks whether this project could accommodate additional corporate headquarter locations, and the answer is yes. I mean, the zoning that is being proposed would accommodate additional corporate headquarters sites similar to what is being constructed to the south. And we would look forward to the opportunity to work with the city and its economic development efforts to attract other important projects to Westfield. The concept plan that is before you here, I think everybody can read, but it is showing a development scenario where Area A would be assisted living and potentially memory care or assisted living. Area B is designed to accommodate office uses. Area C is contemplated as kind of low profile, neighborhood oriented commercial retail type business. And Area D, although shown as location for 2 hotel sites, which it could accommodate, it could also very easily, that could be a corporate headquarter, flagship parcel as well. Area E is identified as for a multifamily community. And then Area F, we've identified, it's along the highway there. That is actually today, it's residual property owned by NDOT. And at some point, they're probably going to want to dispose of that. And when they do, of course, we'd be interested in obtaining it. So with that, I'm going to actually invite the Front Street Partners folks to tell a little bit about themselves. This is their first project in Westfield. Tell about what they do and also give some additional details about their vision for the site.
Yeah, hi. Am I coming through? Hello, Matt?
You're loud and clear.
Loud and clear, very good. Well, listen, first of all, we'd like to thank the council, Mr. Mayor, for giving us this opportunity to address the council with our proposed development tonight. And we'd like to thank Matt for laying out our intentions and the basis of our concept. Very briefly, I'd like to introduce Front Street Partners. As Matt said, we're from Middle Tennessee. We're a group of 4 partners who have been in the development and construction industry for 20 plus years. This is actually the third of our PUDs that we have created recently. In particular, we've just finished one of very similar flavor, similar magnitude in Middle Tennessee, offering similar mixtures of commercial, retail, senior living, multifamily, and it's been exceedingly well received in the community. We're trying to build from the experiences we learned at that project. We're a relatively small firm, and as I say, just the 4 partners, we try to stay intimately connected with all of the features of work that we engage in, so that we can sort of maintain a sense of quality and pride in what we try to accomplish and set out to build. So with that said, we continue to be just exceedingly impressed with what Westfield has accomplished in its civic planning. We would like to bring experiences that we have from other mixed-use developments to try to invoke this work, live, play community, a concept which brings all generations together and appeals to neighborhood traffic, provides utility for local residents. We want it to be a walkable, purpose-built mixed use with open green spaces, a community that's safe for local neighbors and the residents to use and get utility from. We see it as an opportunity for local businesses to thrive in several different scales, from a smaller parcel in the commercial to perhaps a larger one in senior living. It's not just trying to be an integral mixed use for the residents of the development, but it's supposed to be a destination for local neighbors to integrate with the Lantern common residents. As far as architectural standards, we wish to bring, we wish to exceed those stated with the US 32 overlay standards. We want to bring in a timeless, traditional in keeping with Westfield's sort of community style. We want to bring in durable materials. We're looking at substantial proportions of masonry siding. There are numerous concepts that we've tried to build out in our the represented character exhibits in the concept booklet. In particular, the multifamily, we want it to be approachable and sort of a proven architectural spirit for the a traditional welcoming farmhouse look, which is ultimately just very inviting to the community. We really have to say how impressed we are with the interconnectivity throughout Westfield with the Natalie Wheeler Monin trails. We really want to capitalize on that and make a development which is fully integrated with these trails. It's a sense that the different uses of this mixed-use development will be spaced out, a sense of open space and green spaces, pocket parks, pocket parks for pets, all integrating with the trails. The new Westfield Boulevard connector is it's an inspired part of long-term strategic planning for Westfield. We want to be a part of bringing that that strategic vision into being, and we see this as a very positive aspect for our community, with a sort of well-designed, broad, landscaped thoroughfare connecting through from where it is at the moment at 169th all the way down through to the 161st roundabout that Matt mentioned earlier on. Within our community, we don't just want to have sort of conventional amenities that you might consider, such as the sort of resort style pools, things that we see at every apartment complex, resort pools, fitness facilities, sort of water features and walking trails. We want to go beyond that and provide out of the ordinary amenities. We want to provide community gardens and craft workshops, places where residents can feel sort of a connectivity to a rooted lifestyle rather than just what you might consider as a more of a transient multifamily existence. We want people to feel they have the opportunity to express their crafts and passions and hobbies. And in addition to the regular Class A amenities such as pet-friendly pet washrooms and fenced pet parks, water features, hammocks and cabanas, and outdoor food grills and movie theatres. These are all, I think, meshing some extraordinary features with what might be more typical. So just to summarize, we are extremely excited about the opportunity to create a new mixed-use environment in Westfield. We think this is a truly appropriate, and it will be a credit to the local neighborhood as a buffer between the commercial to the south and the residential to the north. It's a blend of mixed uses that will be a credit to Westfield. With that, Matt, I'll turn back over to you if you can summarize for us.
All right. So just a couple items of business. Thank you, Martin. We are planning to have a neighborhood meeting. It has not been 100% locked in, but we're tentatively planning on the 28th of January. It will be a virtual event, and we will, of course, provide contact information to council members, so if you wish, you may attend. We are planning to appear on the Plan Commission agenda on the 1st of February. And of course, we are interested in any kind of feedback you might want to provide to us, either now or candidly, individually, however you'd like to do that. And we would request to be forwarded on to the Plan Commission for public hearing, please.
Matthew, this is Joe Edwards. I have quite a connection with that piece of property. Used to have quite a connection. That's where I grew up.
Oh,
And,
really?
yeah. I wonder why we want to give away good 31 frontage to apartments. Now I know those are supposed to be business, and the hotels, I think, fulfill that if they're good hotels. But we could probably line 31 all the way up and down with these apartments, and I'm not sure we want to do that. But that's just a question I'd ask. We're giving away assessed value, perhaps. That's just,
Well,
I'm just.
Yeah, I know some of the concept. I mean, if you look at a lot of these mixed use developments are incorporating residential elements into them these days for sustainability purposes. I mean, you actually have it's a living, breathing organism, not just a place where people come to shop or to work. It's as Martin explained, it's a work, live, and play environment. But as far as the urban design goes, I mean, we can take your comments into consideration, and I imagine we will be working through some of those items with the Plan Commission. But Martin, do you have anything initially or preliminarily you'd like to offer for that, or would you prefer to circle back after you have a chance to think?
No, Matt, we agree with your response. I mean, we believe that the market feedback that we have received is that this is no longer the climate where large sort of multi-story rows of commercial headquarters are likely to be, this is not the area that would be selected for that usage, and that something of more neighborhood scale is desired. So from the perspective of folks trying to solicit sector parcels of this land for business, the more neighborhood scale is what we've proposed, is what the local businesses are requesting.
Well, I know something has to happen there, but this would just be my thinking. That's opinion only.
If I can also add one particular item, this is Gary Perel speaking with Allo Property Group, is that the seller of the property has been unwilling, and it continues to be unwilling to subdivide the parcel into any kind of meaningful matter, and is looking for a master developer such as Front Street Partners to come in and visualize a project like this. And as Martin just summarized in our conversations with the overall market, which includes a number of office developers, the interest in developing office headquarters or spec office buildings in today's marketplace is completely different than it was 10, 15 years ago.
Could you give me your location in Tennessee? I'd like to see what you've done in Tennessee.
Absolutely. We can provide some links to the properties we've constructed there, and even provide perhaps a small concept book of some of the completed projects there. We'd be delighted to.
Is it close to Nashville or?
Yes, sir. It's about 20 miles south of Nashville, in a town called Smyrna, and it lays quite similarly to this parcel. And if I might, as Matt set out in his introduction, the uses that this site currently have with approved ordinance, there could be some very large scale retail and or commercial office buildings, which are not particularly great for the buffer zone with the residential to the north, or even to that extent for the residential a little further still to the east. This development is a sort of a more human scale, residential scale buffer use between the residential and the industrial. So while you might have high sort of density utilization along the US 31 frontage, with its proximity to existing residential, we actually believe this is a more appropriate blend usage for this location.
Well, I'd like to see, I'd like to see something nice there, something attractive and something that helps the community. That's
Well,
all.
let us track down some information and we'll distribute it to the council for your consideration, and then we can continue this dialogue.
That's all.
Matthew, I think that's been a great debate here and good conversation. I want to thank you, thank Martin, thank Gary, and we look forward to seeing this at the APC in the near future. All right. That said, let's move on.
Thanks very much.
Let's move on to
Thank you,
final
folks.
ordinance. Thank you, Matt. Ordinance 2105, the Wheeler Landing PUD, Amendment 4. I'm not sure who's going to do the introduction tonight. Will be Eric.
It will, yes.
Do it. Eric.
Eric Douthit with Church Hill and Antrim. Thank you for allowing us to present this project here tonight. I'm not going to take a lot of your time. The proposed project is in the Wheeler Landing PUD. It's just south of the soon-to-be completed natatorium within the PUD. I'm not going to take a lot of time because the underlying use has already been approved. We're going to be adding 214 apartments as the first multifamily piece to go into the Wheeler Landing PUD. The focus of the text amendment is based on the urban design and urban feel of the PUD and making sure that this meets that standard that we're trying to put together. The hearing on this for APC will be on February 1st, 2021. We look forward to you passing this on to APC, and will be available for any additional questions either before that meeting or certainly after the public meeting so we can fill you in. Thanks. If you got any questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and keep mine nice and short today.
Do you have any questions for Eric? Eric, thank you for your presentation. We look forward to seeing that at the APC.
Thank you.
Well, that ends our new business for tonight. We're going to get into the area of any residents who might want to address the council on items that are not on the agenda may do so at this time. And I know it's fairly difficult with these types of meetings. So I'd ask staff, have we received any questions or emails with questions this evening?
Yeah, President Johns, this is Kevin Todd, and no emails have been received.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Moving on then, City Council comments. First on the agenda there is, can we have Cindy, do you have an APC report for us tonight at all?
I sure do. It's pretty short. On our December 21st meeting, we approved the primary plat and overall development plan for Chatham Point, 10 lots on 20 plus acres. That did include some sidewalk trail piece waivers given its location. So that was all approved. And we also had a recommendation on the Woods Robinson Briggs PUD. There was a number of changes since it was introduced to us, and it's come back actually a number of times. It did get a 5-4 in the positive recommendation, but there was a lot of discussion and comment about it. We await the petitioner to see if he's going to move forward for a vote or take it back to the APC.
Okay. Thank you, Cindy. Are there any other council comments?
Sure. This is Scott Fryan. I've just got a very brief comment. We've got we're 1 year into this new council, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank Councilor Edwards for his leadership in that first year as president of the council. I think he did a great job, and I appreciate that very much.
I'll second that.
Third.
Unanimous.
Mike, this is Troy Patton.
Yes, Troy.
Finance Committee, the one thing that we are looking at, we started off the year with our meeting, and we'll be furthering these discussions. I've spoke with Todd Bertrand, and we're discussing kind of more our projections for the city based on our lots that we have available at this time and what our expected growth will be and what our tax base will look like in the coming years. And how that projects not only into the debt of the city, but also into the budget, whether it be for fire, police, first responders, just that sort of thing. So I think it's really important because it is the direction, or it'll help tell the direction of the city, and then and what our tax base will be ultimately at some point. And how we are going to address housing that we'll have in the future and our corporate taxpayers, et cetera. So I would like to just mention that for finance, and I think we're going to further that into February. And then and that's really all I have, I guess, at this point. So
thank you, Troy. Are there any other comments?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Cindy Gasser. Yes, Cindy Gasser.
Okay. I just want to let everybody know that I've been working with Finley and Cook, and we're going to, on Tuesday, January 19th, we may be starting in-house payroll because there's so much going on with ADP. And I'm just really confused about all that, but they have high-level HR. They do everything, but it would all be in-house. So we meet with them on January 19th to go over all of this. And I just wanted to let you know we may be switching payroll providers and just do it in-house.
Okay. Thank you, Cindy. I've got just a couple of comments here. First of all, as the new president, one thing I'd like to do is between now and the next meeting, I'm going to review the membership of all of our standing council committees and representation to the APC. I also plan to meet with all the councilors individually and to talk to them and get their input and then make any recommendations for any changes or any updates on those committees prior to or during our next meeting. Also, with respect to the council committees, there's something that we're basically new to the council a year ago. I think we've learned a lot about them and how they function and over the past year. I will share with you that my goal for 2021 will be to improve the communication between the committees and council members as a whole, so that the council as a whole has a better understanding of what's happening in each committee, and also hopefully improve the communication with the administration. That said, I would like to ask Mayor Cook if possible, if at our next council meeting, if maybe we could have a presentation from our new city attorney, give us a little background about himself, and also an update as to any potential litigation and lawsuits that the city may be involved with and what the standings are at this point in time. So with that, I'm going to turn the meeting over to the mayor for his comments.
Yes, Mr. Johns, thank you very much. And I echo the council sentiment. Joe Edwards, thank you for serving your year as president. And Mr. Johns, congratulations on ascending to that position. I look forward to working with you. And I think, yeah, you asked about working with our new council, Manny Herzig. I think, Manny, you're there. Would you like to address that and how this relationship will work, et cetera? And then I have some other comments following that. Manny, please.
Happy to, Mayor and council members. Very good to meet you, at least virtually. Blake Bergen is here on the line with me. We're both partners at Taft. put simply, we just really look forward to supporting this great community and the great people that work here and helping it grow. Taft works as a team, so our names won't be the only ones you'll hear. Don't let that surprise you. We follow the advice my old business professor gave me, which is hire people smarter than you and let them go. Let them go to work. And so that's what we've done. And so complex issues arise in cities like Westfield, like they do in every major corporation. And so we plan to staff each issue expertly. And we look forward to working hand in hand with the great folks here and with you. Beyond that, there's nothing more to say. Taft is a great municipal group. We represent municipalities throughout the state in various capacities, so we have familiarity with the processes, and hopefully we'll be able to transition seamlessly and not miss a beat and offer support to help this community grow. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited about it.
Very good, thanks. Just a few other comments. As all of you know, this dreaded COVID is still upon us. I don't like meeting like this any better than you do, but I don't know for sure when it's going to end. The state has placed Hamilton County, has moved us from orange to red, which is rather discouraging. I hope we can look at it that we've reached the bottom here of this pandemic. This isn't going to help our businesses any. I will reinvigorate my request to all of our citizens to, hey, be smart about this once again. We constantly remind, we know where this is coming from. It's from small gatherings, without spacing, without masks, and we got to do a better job. And to limit our gatherings right now to 25 people, it's going to hurt a lot of businesses in our community. So I would ask of all of our citizens to reinvest in safe practices in this COVID thing until hopefully this vaccinations can come to our rescue. Graham Park is continuing to operate even under the red. We have plans to accommodate that. So William Knox and all his gang are doing just that. I want to thank Vicki Duncan Gardner and Angie Frazier and our police, fire, public works, all those that put together the Colts rally and parade last Friday through a cold night in Westfield. Got a lot of positive comments back from residents, how much fun that was. And I know the game didn't turn out quite the way we all liked it. I thought they did a pretty darn good job. But I do know, talking with the Colts administration, they are greatly looking forward to coming back to Westfield in July. And Ms. Boljeric, your reports from Plan Commission may not always be so short in that Kevin Todd and his crew continue to receive almost a record number of filings. I know Kevin had a lot of filings come in on the last Friday of the month, and some new ones, some revisions, etc. But the development of Westfield and the desire to be here continues. So Plan Commission, hang on, you're going to have a lot of work to do. And I think in closing, I'll just mention that 2 or 3 weeks ago, Mr. Patton had written me and wanted an update from that group conducting the audit and investigation of this city. I think the council is well aware that this afternoon in their inboxes, I provided an answer to that request. So please take a look at that, and I'm sure we'll be discussing that further. Thank you all.
Okay. If there are no other comments, then I'm going to call this meeting to its concluded and adjourn.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.